He does love it. I got Trump back this week and was like,
You're in the right spot. Good morning.
They wouldn't let me sit next to you. Look at that. That would have been good.
like for real, I ran. It's like youngest child.
Is there anything else that can be nice to meet you?
Yes, same here. Que Dios me las bendiga.
Or no better tell us
Yeah. Good morning. How are you all? You too.
I can go and make sure that I get that.
I decided to hold up.
No.
Much better, yes. This way I can look in the audience's eyes and say, and nobody can see my screen. When I tried to call her, he's safe.
Just to make sure.
Bills I can't
I
count.
was like,
No, that's what I see.
when I was in the school. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like, it was hard to push car seat.
They're both sides.
They didn't know. No one else. I can know.
Good to see you. What the heck?
Not your fault. I like your time.
Take home.
When you get to the school, you plug it in and charge it, you're around your scooter.
December.
Go down. Yeah. Basically, that was another Friday. Asking you. I called you back. Well, but how often do I wear a tie? Because they need. They're going to church so I can wear
Yeah.
It's standard. I don't know what that is. That's not in the code.
and more to come. She's
You're kind of loosey goosey.
I went to Phoenix.
Yeah. He's a good dude.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get ready now to begin the meeting. So if you can take your seats. And for those in cyberspace, we're going to begin.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9:31 a.m. And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was way too true.
I'm trying to bring happiness. Can we do the roll call?
All right. Roll call, starting with Chair Senator Blanco, Mayor Perea, Mayor Rudy Cruz, Representative Chris Canales, Mayor Ramon Cano, Mayor Miguel Chacon, Representative Alejandra Chavez,
Here.
Senator Joseph Cervantes, Aaron Chavarria,
Here.
Anthony DeKaiser,
Here.
Art Fierro, Representative Art Fierro, Commissioner Gloria Gameros,
Present.
right, Representative Mary Gonzalez, Yvette Hernandez, Commissioner Ileana Holguín,
Yeah.
Mayor Bernard Johnson,
I can't believe you don't remember that.
Mayor Martin Lerma, City Manager Dion Mack, Representative Joe Moody, Representative Eddie Morales, Mayor Diana Murillo,
Present.
Tony Nevares,
Morning. Here.
Representative Claudia Ordaz, Representative Vince Perez, Mayor Rachel Quintana,
Here.
Mayor Andres Renteria, Judge Ricardo Samaniego, Representative Sarah Silva, and Tomas Trevino. She's walking in. Right. And also we have Mr. John Ando. No, not yet. So we do have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Do we have anyone signed up for public comments?
Public comment.
Okay. If I may, before we start the agenda, I want to recognize Mayor Murillo for her service and her dedication. This will be her last MPO, or maybe is it next month or this one?
This month.
This month. But we know that you've been a lifelong advocate for Anthony, New Mexico. You've done a phenomenal job representing your community here at the MPO. So join me in giving her a round of applause for her service.
Good 12 years
Absolutely.
coming to El Paso MPO from the east side when we first started, and then on Florence Street, and then now here. So I greatly appreciate everybody was very kind to me and always accommodating me, helping me out. And I learned a lot of public transportation and bridges and all that. But thank you.
So on behalf of staff, we also thank you for your service and wish you the best.
Thank you.
And if you'd also please help me welcome a new member of the MPO for EPATS, the Executive Director, John Ando. And I think, is he virtual, or is he on virtually, or?
No, he said he was going to participate virtually. I tried to get him to come in person, but I don't see him.
Okay. Well, he'll be joining us. He's one of our new members of the MPO. So with that, let's move on to discussion and action.
All right, so item number 1, discussion and action to consider approval of the minutes of the November 21, 2025 TPB meeting.
Motion approved. Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Right. Item 2, consider approval of amendments to the amended Regional Mobility Strategy RMS 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP, and the RMS 2025-2028 Transportation Improvement Program TIP to program the following Texas highway projects. Again, we've got items A through F as written in the agenda. We have the data's in your packet. We have a presentation ready if you wish, or if you have any questions, happy to do that. If not, we would ask if there's a motion for approval.
Motion approved. Second. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3 is consider approval of an amendment to the amended RMS 2050 MTP and the RMS 2025-2028 TIP to program the Sun Metro Transit Route Vance Replacement Project using $1,963,500 of FTA 5339C low no emissions vehicle program funds in fiscal year 2026. Again, this is another item that the information is in your backup. We have a presentation if you have any questions or thoughts.
Questions?
I think I just have one question. I spoke with Mr. DeKaiser a little bit before the meeting, and if you could kind of comment on the actual impact of that. It's not really $1.9 million. There's actually a greater impact to that, correct?
So what we plan on doing is replacing the transit supervisor vans, and they're nearing their life cycle, but they're not quite at it. That's why we were able to get the grant, because we're nearing it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repurpose those vehicles for maintenance, facility maintenance, or maintenance, what have you. So really, there's a secondary and tertiary effect of the financial impacts on what that has to Sun Metro, because it saves us from buying potentially 14 other vehicles for other divisions. So I really appreciate everything that's going on with this grant, and I'm really proud of my team for getting it so we can move forward. Half penny sales tax that we get on these type of things, because when we do these grants, we can also get extra discounts or purchasing of vehicles because we're using low-no grants. So the FTA gives us another 5% off the vehicles that we buy. So there's secondary and tertiary effects that come from this grant that we utilize in that way. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. With that, I'll move to approve.
We've got a motion to approve. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right. Item number 4, consider approval of amendments to the amended RMS 2050 MTP and the RMS 2025-2028 TIP for the following Texas highway projects. A, amend the PE Phase Playa Drain Shared Use Path Knights to Midway Project, CSJ 924-06728, to update the project name, project description, and project limits in fiscal year 2026. And B, amend the Playa Drain Use Path Knights to Midway, CSJ 924-06728, to update the project name, project description, and project limits in fiscal year 28. Same thing. We have the backup is in the information is in your backup, and we have presentation, or we can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? We have a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right. Item 5, consider authorizing the executive director to approve the statement of work between El Paso MPO and the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, for use of Texas Rider 7 state and local air quality planning grant funding, PM 2.5, for work associated with air quality research and modeling at international border crossing. So again, this is continues the work, and it's an extension of the grant where we're receiving funding from TCEQ to do several things, but this one specifically is to continue the work specifically on PM 2.5. So, Mr. Chair, we do have a presentation on this one. We would like to share it with you. So we have Claudia Valles from MPO staff.
Hey, good morning, Claudia Valles, Paso MPO. So as Eduardo mentioned, next slide. Okay, Rider 7 is a state-funded program through the TCQ that provides money for local air quality planning with focus on ozone and also PM 2.5. They start on 2023, and we received funds in that year, and we already finished our first project that was in October. That you are going to have is the item 11, will be presented by UTEP, our results. And its primary goal is to help the local areas develop plans to meet the air quality standard, in particular in areas that are need or in unattainment zones. Next slide. So as we remember, last month meeting, we approved the amendment, and we are going to be receiving 320,000 for the new fiscal year that will be 2026 to 2027. The way we are going to split the funds is going to be 10% will be project management, that will be for us to make that statement of work, to be in weekly meetings with them, be sending quarterly progress report to TCQ about the advance of the projects. Then we're going to be sponsored 2 projects. The first one will be the multi-pollutant exposure air quality assessment on the comprehensive environmental monitor at U.S. and Mexican border crossings. This will have a cost of $253,000. And the other one that was already started, we start sponsor with our funds. Then we are going to continue sponsor with TCQ funds so we can finish the project. This is the seasonal characterization and statistical validation of PM2.5 exposure models at the international border crossings. And the cost is $34,000. The next one. So the first one will be, as we know, PM2.5 is not only a single pollutant. When we start making our assessment and monitor on the first project last 2 years was only PM2.5. Now we want to extend it and include more contaminants. As we know, the environmental components can be found in the border are many, and only having PM2.5 will limit our policy tools. So what we are proposing is that with a comprehensive and multi-pollutant data, we can have complete emission inventories, assessment compliance, develop a target mitigation, and support border environmental cooperation. Next one. The pollutants that will be included now will be PM2.5 at the border, a port of entry, and we are going to be including the ultrafine particle matter, ozone, a particle matter at 10 microns, and nitrous oxide. As we know, all these pollutants are linked with the cardiorespiratory effects on the human health, and these are related to the tailpipe and vehicle emissions that we have in the border crossings and more with the long lines, the time that we wait there. The deliveries for this project will be a complete environmental data, provide improvement and target policy tools, and help the enhancement of the border crosser leadership. The project, and next one, the project, as we mentioned, that was already approved 3 months ago, and they start making the assessment. As we know, I mentioned in the phase number 1, which is October, we include all the seasons of spring, summer, and fall at the Santa Teresa Port of Entry and the Bridge of the Americas. But we were missing the winter season. So they start now in putting all our monitors again. So we are going to have now all the year, like the 4 seasons. And the goal of this project is that we're going to identify several factors of interest that can be potential concern when performing the assessment based on the activity of the binational region. So we are going to now have the temperature inversion that we have on winter. We are going to have the hourly travel patterns, as we know, because the times on crossing increase. So this emission, we hope that will increase, and we want to see the trends. Also, the spring transition condition, when we have the temperatures are going to be high, and then in spring we're going to have, our temperatures on winter will be lower, and in spring will start rising. So we want to see that transition on the emissions for PM2.5. Also, we are going to have available PM 2.5 exposure in the year predictive model. So our model that was performed in October, now having more information, will be a data complete, and we can have better models to forecast what will be the emissions. So this results in partial seasonal data into complete, validated models, as I already mentioned, that stakeholders can confidentially use to inform policy and infrastructure decision year round. We have any questions about this project?
Actually, we do have a question. Representative Chavez?
Thank you, Chairman. My question is related to the grant. Will it be specifically for BODA, or will there be different scenarios determined on air pollution quality in different border crossings in different areas? Or will it be just specific to BODA?
Yes, for the moment, we only have funds for BODA because of the price, the funds that we receive. But with these models, we can predict in other bridges. And the idea is that with the next funds, in the next 2 billion, probably we can extend to another bridges. But with this model, you also can predict in the other bridges will be the emissions and the.
Because potentially border crossings will continue to occur, and pollutants will be just transferred basically from one area to another.
Okay.
So I think a study in the future would be useful.
We have a comment from Dr. Ibarra. He's the executive master.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ibarra from UTEP, and actually, it is more than Regional America. Sorry.
Eduardo, if I may, I know in reports in item 10, because the MPO utilizes UTEP.
Right.
As it relates to PM2, would it make sense to have that presentation along with this one right now? May answer some questions.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So item 10, which is a report, that's how we had it under, later in the agenda. But I think it would be a good idea if it's okay with you all to bring Dr. Ibarra and provide that update, and he can answer a lot of the questions, and including the one from Representative Chavez.
Any objection to that? Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if we can put up the slideshow that we have prepared.
Still working on it.
No, that's not it.
Yeah,
Item 10.
They're working on it.
They're working on it.
Okay, so if you have questions, I can answer meanwhile. Yes, that's it.
All right, so you guys here for the vision?
So yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ibarra Mejia. I'm here from UTEP and representing CTIS. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the results that we have on the previous study that Claudia just mentioned about the monitoring pollutants, specifically PM 2.5, in these are two international border crossings. It's Bridge of the Americas and Santa Teresa. Next one, please. So these are the 5 objectives that we had for our project. We're going to go over them one by one. It is good to report that all the objectives were met. And I'm going to just explain one by one very briefly. Okay, next slide, please. So our first objective was to determine what would be our reference values for traffic related pollution, specifically to PM 2.5, which is particulate matter, the second most smallest particle of interest for health and human exposure. And we did this at 2 ports of entry. One was at Bridge of the Americas, the other was Santa Teresa. For this, we actually designed, developed, and deployed 5 monitoring stations or standalone. Each one was capable of monitoring air pollutants and determine weather parameters at each microclimate at each station. The purpose was then to establish a baseline of what is actually the level of emissions at those points specific. We also deployed something that we call people counters to assess how many people are using the bridge, how many cross back and forth, going northbound and southbound at the 2 ports of entry. Next slide, please. The other objective was to develop what is called a statistical modeling using an econometric model. And this econometric model will take into account all the things that we measure, such as traffic volume per hour and the types of vehicles that we're counting. We also measured the PM 2.5 concentration and continuity during 24 hours. And we determined the weather parameters every time we counted. The formula is there. I think I'm not going to go too deep into explaining that mathematical model. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The other thing that we went is based on the exposures that the measurements of the particulate matter that we did. We wanted to assess the potential exposure for all those CBP officers and the pedestrians that were using the bridge. And another objective was actually to not only determine that we had PM 2.5 or particulate matter pollutants, but where it actually comes from. And this we did through using some filters and some chemical analysis. Next one, please. And the objective of this was actually to see if there's any required actions that were to be taken both to protect the officers or the pedestrians and to deliver some recommendations if anything was found before, that was beyond what it was expected, the standardized parameters. Next one, please. So this is what you guys got for it, and thank you for approving this last year. So we measured during 148 days from February 21 to September 26 of 2025. I'm going to say that this is still ongoing. Thanks again for the extension that was granted a couple of months ago. We had 95 filters analyzed for the content of the PM 2.5. As you know, PM 2.5 is just the size of the particle, but this analysis needed to see what the particle is made of. And this is why we conducted this analysis. So out of the 97, we were capable of analyzing 64 filters. We did not do this. We had to send it to an EPA approved laboratory, which is localized in UC Davis in California. Next slide, please. So this is what we find based on our predictive models. We were able to predict that the biggest predictor for the concentration of particulate matter is the number of vehicles per hour that we're crossing every day. And this is also associated in BOTA with higher emissions because it has more vehicles. But we also found out that the afternoons have the highest concentrations, and that will be our main interest. So in a sense, the persons, every user at BOTA, both workers and pedestrians, we are considered a higher exposure than in Santa Teresa. In Santa Teresa, we did find also that the vehicles were the biggest predictor, and the wind, the patterns are the ones that kind of the protective factor, but it was not greater exposure such as the Bridge of the Americas. Next one, please. So the other thing that we found regarding exposure, one thing that I want to make very clear is that none of the measured parameters went over the standard. However, there were peaks at which there were some times in which there is greater exposure. So the standard is based on a 24-hour average, but we found certain peaks that might be of concern, and this might be irrelevant. So we consider some potential mitigations about that. So what we see is the afternoon shifts at BOTA are the ones that are higher exposure. But again, everything is within federal standards, but the night shifts, of course, are, as expected, have the lowest exposure. In the Santa Teresa, also the afternoons and mornings were high. We don't know exactly why in the mornings. There's a lot of other activities in Santa Teresa that we didn't account for, but we need to know if this were associated. Also, the afternoon shift in Santa Teresa is the greater exposure than in the morning. Remember that Santa Teresa only has 2 shifts. Next slide, please. This is a bit complicated, but this is the digital, or this is the print of the materials that are in PM 2.5. It's a bit complicated to say, but you see in that image, this is it's called the XRF analysis. It's basically to know what that PM 2.5 is made of, right? And what we found out is that the composition is very relevant to our city and our region. The thing that was more present in everything was calcium, which is typical for our desert environment. But we also found barium, which is an indicative of the slow moving traffic and the braking patterns. There's the slow moving and a lot of braking. We found some other minerals like antimony and cadmium. These can probably come from contaminated soils, which means that we don't only get at the bridge contaminants from the vehicle emissions, but also is this probably the wind is bringing other contaminants into those same points. We have other minerals like cerium and indium. These are really rare to find, but we detect them. We still need to find what would be the potential source of that. That is one other concern that still needs to be investigated. And one important thing is we didn't find zinc as much as we thought we were going to find, which is typical to this region. Now, what does this mean? This means that this is exactly what we need to protect our officers and our pedestrians at those sites. These are some of the chemicals that are of interest and for which we need to have greater concern. Next slide, please. Lastly, this is just what were recommendations for BOTA. What we recommended is that take a little bit of into consideration the afternoon shifts. Maybe take some administrative actions like more shifting the workers around a little bit more. Assess the booth ventilation systems and try to do exposure assessment when extreme conditions and we have windstorms. Because that was one of the events that we found that when windstorms are here, especially in Santa Teresa, the levels of PM 2.5 and all the associated minerals that we found really go really up. Next slide, please. So what we found out is that not international boards of entry are the same. So they have to be assessed. They have different characteristics. They have different vehicular patterns. The sources and the composition of the PM 2.5 is different in both sites. So that is something that we need to consider. What we recommend is that not to take that one site fits all, and every port of entry needs to be assessed individually. Next one, please. So this is what your investment discovered, right? What we think is this is groundbreaking. We did three samples going from spring, summer, and fall. We still are ongoing with our winter monitoring, and now we understand what people exactly are breathing at both the bridge of Santa Teresa and Bridge of the Americas. Sorry, Port of Santa Teresa. Next one, please. The next is we consider that this project has been a success. We now have high resolution air quality monitoring. We have traffic data flow that still needs to be further analyzed. We also but the most importantly for us, we have where this pollution actually comes from, right? So it's not only from vehicle emissions, although it's a greater part, but it also comes from other parts of the city, and also it comes also with the dust in the air. The bottom line is that we develop a system that works, right? And then our data is sound, and what we need to do is just continue completing 1 year to establish the effects of the winter patterns and probably extend it to other ports of entry. Next one, please. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge the team and everyone that supported. I want to recognize my 2 graduate students there in the back. And next slide, and thank you everyone, and I'll be taking your questions if there are any.
Any questions, Representative Chavez?
Thank you, Chairman. So just a follow-up question, and thank you so much for this. I think it's a great presentation, gives us a lot of information. I know that there are several factors that you've identified: traffic volumes, landscapes, wind patterns.
Yes.
Potentially, if we were to switch commercial traffic from one bridge to another or divert it to several bridges, what impact would that create on contaminants in the other bridges potentially? Or what factors or what other factors would also play into those contaminants?
We believe, and this is what we're proposing, that, there will be added factors like ultrafine particles that might lead to ozone formation and other things, and this is what we're proposing for extending the project a little bit more to assess those type of exposures. Of course, we must know that a single contaminant is not enough. We need to monitor all of them in order to really assess the potential exposure. And this is what we're proposing in the next project.
But the model will allow us
The models are there, and we found validity in our models. They run consistently. What we say is the parameters that we're measuring are the correct ones. That's what, the modeling says. We're right on track. We, everything that we measure is, let's say, is something that should be included in this model.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So your presentation says that all current shifts are within federal guidelines, correct?
Yes, sir.
Within federal limits. Does your models show a potential time frame as to when they will not be within?
What it shows is that there's an increase for every 100 vehicles. So that depends a lot, right, on two basic things. One is how many vehicles are gonna cross, because if I'm not mistaken, we estimated that around 1.1 for every 100 vehicles, there's an increase of at least 1 point in PM 2.5. And the other thing that is going to affect it is the wind pattern, right? The wind pattern, because when the wind comes, it disperses. So in theory, PM 2.5 associated to vehicle emissions goes down, but then other types of dust and things like that come up. So, yes.
But I think to your question, yeah, I mean, with what are the variables here is a number of vehicles. So if we can estimate, with our forecast models, we can estimate the increase in number of vehicles that are going to be crossing and how the split between border crossings, will happen. And based on that number of vehicles, yeah, we will be able to estimate if those emissions, that are directly driven by vehicles, right? When or to what level will we be beyond or above the federal standards?
Well, currently, we don't have, say, a timeline, a time set, say, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, we may be at elevated levels above. We don't have that right now.
No, we can simulate it, definitely. We can simulate it and have an estimate, but it'll be our best estimate.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was gonna ask you, did you look at any, I know you're talking about doing an analysis.
I'm sorry.
George Bean, I'm sorry, George Bean.
We're not in the public comment period right now. Any other questions, members? Representative.
What was the rationale for the search? What was the selection criteria for selecting Boda if ultimately, one of the reasons for shutting down the commercial traffic was that it was only 15% of commercial traffic for the region. So if Isleta, was already, accommodating a higher rate of traffic, how was that taken into consideration? Because if you're showing that volume is one of the biggest predictors, is this model truly going to be transferable if the volume and the traffic patterns and all are just completely different at Isleta?
The model is transferable, the data is not. And we must recall that this project did not include commercial vehicles, it's only passenger vehicles, right? So we did not take that into account. Our next phase will consider commercial vehicles, right? But the model itself, the things that we measure and put in order to forecast the pollution, it will work for you, but the parameters, they can't be the same because, the landscape, the geography of each site is different, right?
And how much funding is it going to take for us, I guess, to whether expand this or analyze additional ports so that way we get a comprehensive study, I guess, of.
Well, one of the things is I think this investment that you have made one of the biggest expenses is the equipment, and we already have that. So we have that capability. So for moving it, to a different ports of entry, it will be just, the cost of transporting it to the different sites. And of course, one of the biggest costs is the analytics of the filters, sending them into a laboratory and getting them analyzed. That's one of the biggest costs. But it shouldn't be a greater investment than it is right now. Right now, we have invested a lot on equipment, and I think that is already been taken care of. So it's just, a matter of, I'm gonna say salaries for whoever is gonna conduct the analysis.
Yes, and Salvador Gonzalez, El Paso MPO, as of the question of why Boda and Santa Teresa, we decided to, of course, because of limited budget, we had to select, we couldn't select all of the, or include all of the ports of entry. But Boda and Santa Teresa, since there are no toll, tolling actually introduces a level of additional level of complexity. You have stop and go just for tolling. So that's why we decided to go with the less complex, in this case, Boda and Santa Teresa.
Wouldn't that result in more pollutants?
Yeah, probably so, but we also needed additional equipment to try and evaluate and simulate the stop and go at the tolling. That introduces different levels of emission rates, and so we wanted to go first to what we thought was a simpler context.
One of the things that might be introduced is the Q leg, right? And that is something that at this moment we don't have the capability of doing, and going all the way into Juarez to see what's the Q leg.
But your point or your question is very well taken, because at this point, the decision to do these two was just for simplicity. I mean, this is something new. I mean, the monitors that we physically put at the booths, I mean, I don't think there's
No one has done it.
nobody has done that, right? So we're in the the cutting edge of all this. Now, with more funding, of course, we would like to extend this not to other border crossings, but also to measure it throughout the queue, right? If we could put more of these monitors along the queue, and like Salvador said, yeah, the stop and go is that generates a lot of these emissions of not just of PM 2.5, but other pollutants as well. So it's a question of funding.
Perhaps we can just talk more about this offline. But I mean, I think our goal should always be accuracy, not necessarily simplicity. I mean, what's the point of, how can we rely on the accuracy of this if really the primary goal was kind of just simplicity for data purposes? Well, then, I mean, if I were looking at the data, well, then I wouldn't really be relying on it if that was one of the overriding factors. But we can probably just talk more about this offline.
Well, if you can find us about $5 million to do this, yeah, we can do it.
No, I hear you.
Baby steps here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even though I don't have a degree in chemistry, but what UTEP is doing is really high tech. The way that they're breaking down the sources to identify, what to do. Because at the end of the day, we want to figure out how do we manage this, or how do we protect against the PM 2.5 specifically. But we're super excited that we've been able to do this work, and we're doing it with a grant from TCEQ, so it's not costing us any money.
If I just can say that the models are accurate for the type of crossing, in this case, a no-toll crossing. And it is, you can use the predictive models on other crossings that do not have, the part that is not the tolling. Okay, so yeah, we probably need to include that in further models.
Any other questions?
All right, Mr. Chair, so can we take action then on item, what is it?
Item 5.
Item 5, sorry, thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a motion? Second. Motion to approve, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, item 6, consider authorizing the executive director to execute supplemental number 1 to task order number 1 with the El Paso MPO General Planning Consultant for on-call general transportation planning support services to extend the termination date to December 31st, 2026, and to increase the maximum total compensation by $49,885.58 for a total maximum compensation of $149,516.65. All right, so if you recall, this was the first task order that we executed with our general planning consultant back in March of 2024, I believe. And the intent of task order 1 was really to provide us the flexibility and the ability to do low cost, pretty urgent assignments that we needed to complete, before we could issue very specific task orders. So we were very successful in doing that, and that has allowed us to accelerate the different tasks that we have been doing recently, like the international border crossing. Before we executed the task order specifically for that, we were able to get the GPC to help us with the preliminary planning activities. The same with the task order, where they are helping us with the development of our new metropolitan transportation plan. So part of that work to develop the overall schedule for it was great help. So task order number 1 expires at the end of this month, so we want to extend it. And we still have a balance of about $20,000 that we are using precisely for the next step of the safety action plan. So we are in the process of negotiating a bigger, more detailed task order with the consultant. But in order to accelerate the implementation phase of the safety action plan, we asked the consultant to help us organize the event that will follow this board meeting. It's the press conference where we're going to be announcing the Vision Zero committee and the next step for the safety action plan for the entire MPO region. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item 7 is to consider authorizing the executive director to sign a partnership agreement for the use of the Center for Civic Empowerment on the 17th floor of the Blue Flame Building in order to hold MPO Transportation Policy Board meetings in the space in 2026, subject to final review and approval of the MPO attorney. So again, this is a recurring item to be able to use this room for TPB meetings in calendar 2026. The draft agreement is in your backup, and of course, we recommend approval.
Space. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, item 8, consider authorizing the executive director to sign the letter of support for the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority, CRMA, grant application to the TxDOT 2025 Off-System Rail Grade Separation State Fund Program for the Union Pacific Railroad at Rick Francis Street Grade Separation Project. So that draft letter is also in your backup. We have Mr. Deyes here from the RMA, the Camino Real RMA, in case you have any questions about the project or the letter itself.
Any questions? We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Chair Romeo, abstain.
We have a motion to approve. Show Tomas Trevino abstaining from the vote. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thank you. All right, item 9. We move on to reports again. Item 9 is to update on TxDOT statewide transportation alternative set aside TASA fiscal year 2026 project awards for the El Paso MPO planning area. And for that, we have Mr. Jose Bocanegra from TxDOT for the El Paso District.
Morning, everyone. Again, my name is Jose Bocanegra. I am with Texas Department of Transportation. I am the El Paso District Transportation Alternative Coordinator, and we'll be discussing the transportation alternatives call for projects for 2025, the summary. Next slide. So the 2025 TA call for projects officially began on January 3rd, 2025. When it began, TxDOT received 13 preliminary applications from 10 different sponsors. This is totaling $91.7 million. 12 of those projects were located within the boundaries of the El Paso MPO. From those 13 preliminary applications, 9 made it into the detailed phase. These 9 applications totaled $77.8 million for the projects. And then finally, out of these 9 applications, 5 were chosen during the Texas Transportation Commission meeting on November 13, 2025. Next slide. So the 5 projects chosen, they're a little small, so I'll read them here, was the City of El Paso, the McGoffin Pedras Paisano Shared Use Path. This was a design and construction award totaling $13.39 million. Town of Horizon City, this was for the Howard Low Pedestrian Mall, also design and construction totaling $2,270,000. City of Socorro, this is for the Rio Vista Complete Streets Feasibility Study. This is a planning level, not construction award, and this was for $2,813,000. El Paso County for the Mission Valley Paseo del Norte Trail Phase 1. This is for design and construction, $17,625,000. Village of Vinton for their Vinton Active Transportation Plan. This is a planning level award again, and this is for $457,000. Next slide. To go over some of the analytics of our area, the El Paso District Region received $36,582,000, higher than the 2023 awarded amount at $33,744,867. The El Paso District Region received the second highest amount of funding among all the districts. This is reflected in that bar graph over there, with Dallas being the highest recipient at $52,809,000, followed by El Paso. The El Paso District Region also was 6th for the most projects awarded among all the districts. That on the left-hand side is a breakdown of all the districts by alphabetical order, with El Paso receiving 5, so we were 6th in that overall ranking. Next slide. So for our next steps here, TxDOT will begin to create the CSJs for all the projects that were awarded, and that is a deadline of January. TxDOT is also requesting the El Paso MPO initiate the process to incorporate these projects under Group CSJ in its transportation improvement plans as we move forward. The advanced funding agreement, this is a little bit dated. So advanced funding agreements will follow up and has a predicted completion of summer, so June, July. Upon the execution of those AFAs, TxDOT will reach out to local government for project kickoffs and assignment of project managers. As a friendly reminder, any project manager that is associated with these projects does have to complete our LGP, Local Government Procedures 101 class. That's required every 3 years. So if you haven't, we are going to have one in February. So if you have any assigned project managers or projects that haven't done it, please have them sign up for that class. Projects are also let within 2 to 3 years of award. So that's between fiscal year 27 and 28. And the next TA call for project will begin in 2007. This is my last slide, so I just wanted to thank all the local governments that participated. It's your, projects that help this region, receive all that funding. So thank you all for participating, and we hope to have you all participate also for 2027. Thank you.
Just want to say that, first of all, thank you and the Transportation Commission for all the work that they have done. This doesn't happen by accident. I think the fact that the delegation has brought every single transportation commissioner to our region to showcase and so they can learn about our infrastructure needs was a key part of that. The second part of that was the community effort. We demonstrated that we were aligned on our projects with very little opposition, and that was important for the TTC to make those decisions. So great job to the MPO staff and the Transportation Policy Board for having that vision and that unity to move these projects forward. So great job also to the MPO staff for that work. And then third, we are lucky to have a great district engineer and team for TxDOT here in El Paso who does wonderful work in demonstrating how we can all come together and pool our resources and put this money, both federal and state, into play. And this has been a phenomenal district engineer. So Tomas, to you and your district, great job, great collaboration, and I think the amount of funding that we're receiving demonstrates that type of collaboration. So well done for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's, I mean, I was going to say something similar to that, but this is really a big deal. It's a really big deal for it. It's a big win, even though it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but you know, as you know, TASA projects are very competitive. The pot of money at the state level is not big, but the fact that we're able to get the second largest selection for our region, and it was actually, you know, distributed, you know, the county, the city, Horizon, Vinton, et cetera. And, you know, we are really, really happy and excited and proud of this effort, because it was really, like you said, Mr. Chair, it's a group effort. So thank you for all. And now let's get them done. All right, so that was item number 9. We already did 10. So moving on to 11, which are the quarterly reports. Again, these are reports on administrative amendments that we've done, project completion, project readiness, and specifically the RMS 2020 strategic plan projects report. They're all in your backup. We really don't see any major issues, but, you know, happy to discuss them if you have any comments or questions.
Comments or questions? All right.
Okay, all right. So item 12, as I mentioned before, item 12, creation of the Borderplex Safe Mobility Plan Vision Zero Task Force. And we'll give you a brief presentation, but this is related to the event that we're going to have following this TPB meeting. So, Em?
Good morning, Chair and board members. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the next steps for the Borderplex Safe Mobility Plan. You guys may remember that this plan was adopted at the last TPB meeting. Next slide, please. So you guys have seen this slide lots and lots of times. The only thing I really want to highlight is that to see the plan itself, you can go to that QR code up on the top. Within the plan, there are lists from the analyzed data of priority segments for each of your jurisdictions. And also on that website, we have the high risk, high injury network map, where you can actually see not only the high risk and high injury segments, but if you zoom in far enough, you can see the crash locations. You can see statistics compiled either for the entire region, or you can narrow into like just your own street. You can look at your block and see what your crash stats are. So that all is up and live as of a couple minutes ago when I checked. Next slide, please. What we're going to see when it loads is the high risk and high injury maps. So these are them. So we have, this is within the body of the document with a lot of explaining about how we got here, why the segments that are included, and the crash characteristics for our region. This map is also available in interactive format on the website. That's the one that I was just talking about. Next slide, please. So near the end of the plan is our implementation strategy. So yes, we gathered a bunch of great data. We figured out where our problems are. We put together packages of countermeasures that address each of the prominent collision types within our region. So that's great, but how do we get from there to the actual reductions that the plan seeks to create? And so this implementation strategy is included within the plan, but now we need to do something about it. So the rest of this presentation is going to focus on the main way we are proposing to go about doing this in the 5 W's format. So we're going to go who, what, where, when, and why. Next slide, please. So we are creating our Vision Zero committee. This is why we got the cameras and why we're going to be talking to them next. We have invited representatives from each of our jurisdictions, also law enforcement, I believe, and we've got other key important stakeholders in there as well from the community, because we need to all work together. There's a lot of overlapping areas of interest, not only between just commuting patterns between jurisdictions, but there's also different spheres of influence and different spheres of control that all need to work together so that we can address this topic in a manner that actually moves the needle. So who? We got local government, we got law enforcement, we got different stakeholders. Many folks got emails this week inviting them to join this committee. If you have gotten one and haven't responded yet, we encourage you to do so. We want as many people in on this conversation as practical, and we'd love to have you. So what is it? It's a group that meets regularly, work together towards our regional goals of reducing and eliminating serious collisions. So not only are we looking at just, okay, what's the data in the plan, but, and especially from our law enforcement partners, what are you seeing out there? You know, where are we needing to focus? What sort of attention do we need to pay? Is what we observed that made its way into the crash data, is that still what rises to the top, or, you know, do we need to address like a different emerging profile or something like that? Is there some sort of seasonal messaging that might be really, really good to share amongst the group? Or is there something new and preventable that keeps happening that maybe we need to tell everybody to stop it or how to stop it? All righty, so next slide, please. All right, so where? Most likely, the physical location for this hybrid meeting is going to be the MPO offices, but if we have the problem that we would love to have, that we have too many people to fit, we'll find a different location, probably downtown. And why? Because adopting a plan is not some sort of magical problem-fixing device. We actually have to get in there and implement it. We have to have jurisdictions incorporate the safety recommendations contained within the countermeasures toolkit into maintenance and small construction projects. We need to work together as a region to go after transportation dollars when these competitive grants arise that get some of these larger solutions implemented. And we hope to use this Vision Zero committee in part to help coordinate on how that piece happens through some form of technical assistance, through some form of coordination about who's doing what and when. So we need continuous action. All righty, next slide, please. All righty, so we have this group, that's nice, but we then actually need to meet as a group and to do the work. So we're gonna have regular meetings, we're gonna have technical assistance and collaboration on projects and grant applications, and we're gonna coordinate on emerging conditions and causes. It's hoped that through getting everybody in the same room, we can work together on on a range of different solutions that helps us truly make a difference on this topic. And when we are anticipating our first meeting in January of 2026. And this is the end of my presentation.
Again, we're really excited to start this implementation phase. As Ann said, you know, yes, we have a plan, which, by the way, we completed with a federal grant. And again, our thanks to the county of El Paso for providing the match for that plan. So, but again, as we want to emphasize, we have a plan. Well, that's great. But now we need to implement it, because if not, you know, it's another plan that's going to get shelved and without any major you know, solutions. So with that, any comments or questions on this item?
Chairman, I do have a comment. Can you bring back that picture? This has really nothing to do with the vision and putting the committee together. I just want to make sure that what is pushed out to the public is clear in what we're looking to do. So on the regional safety vision, it states here that EPMPO commits to continually reduce and eliminate the number of fatalities. And it's just the way it's worded here. It says by half in 2035 and by 0 in 2050. So if we could change that, because the way it's read is we're not looking at changing any of that in 2050. So I guess my comment would be, could we possibly change that to?
Like 2-0 instead of by 0.
Exactly, 2-0 by 2050. Right, because pushing this out to the public, it looks like we're not trying to change anything.
You're going to be in the Vision Zero committee, right? No, thank you for the comment. Yeah.
Just my only recommendation.
Right. No, absolutely. But I mean, these are the kind of things that we need to work on. I mean, wordsmithing. I mean, we understand what the vision is, right? And I think we've talked a lot about that when it comes to safety, right? To serious injuries or fatalities. We talk about what the targets should be. And by the way, we're going to bring this I think it's next month that we have to do the safety again. But when it comes to fatalities, what is a good target? Got to be 0, right? So it's difficult and sounds, very difficult to achieve. But anyway, so that's where we're at.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So then finally, the executive director's report. Just very briefly, just a report that earlier this month, I attended the TEMPO meeting, which is the Texas Association of MPOs. These are really, really good meetings that we have where we exchange a lot of information with not only within MPOs, but with the federal agencies, with TxDOT, a lot of discussion on best practices and challenges that we have. And these are really, really good things that are happening with other MPOs. And then the second thing is with the International Border Crossing Strategic Plan. I'll give you a more complete update in January, but just to let you know that we had earlier this week, we had a meeting of the technical work group that is going to help us get into the details on what different scenarios we're going to be modeling for our strategic plan. Again, as a reminder, we're looking at with our models, we're looking at the 6 border crossings that we have in our region, see how we can make improvements when we look at them as a region and start looking at different scenarios of what we can do instead of just looking at these individually, or in addition to looking at them individually as discrete single crossings. So we are planning to have another meeting with the work group in January. We'll be able to provide some results. Just to give you a sneak peek, 2 of the basic scenarios that we're going to start, and this is just the starting point, is to have our baseline, which is the operations or what's going on today, and then have a scenario where we eliminate trucks from the Bridge of the Americas, right? And start looking at what happens, what we can anticipate happening in terms of how the diversion or the changes in traffic patterns to other bridges, including air quality, emissions analysis, and so on. And then use those 2 as like baseline scenarios and start looking at other scenarios that may help us, get some ideas on what to do, like maybe further shifting, one mode of transportation to one bridge, or building, a new crossing, expanding other crossings, et cetera. So it's really exciting stuff, but we plan on bringing you a more detailed update in the month of, in January, next month. So happy to answer any questions or thoughts.
Any questions? Okay.
That's it.
Business? Other business? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? A second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Christmas. Happy New Year.